Do you like fighters or spacecraft design? Grab your copy of the first Spacedock reference book all about these topics on our Patreon through the link in the description and pinned comment below. Hello everybody and welcome back to Spacedock. I'm Hujuana and today I'm going to go over my top 10 firearms, or weapons, or guns, or however you want to refer to them, starting with the 0-point energy field manipulator from Half-Life 2. The gravity gun was not specifically built as a weapon, instead it was designed as a tool to lift and move heavy equipment. Despite that, it's one of the best weapons in the entire series, added as another facet of demonstrating the physics that Source Engine was capable of, along with the odd pace-destroying seesaw puzzle. Unlike those, it wasn't just a gimmick though. After you get a hold of it, it's generally well integrated, especially in the playground of Yeats that is Ravenholm. You can pick up grenades to throw back, do puzzles with it to get loot, throw toilets at giant bugs, all sorts of stuff. And it's the super weapon in the game's finale as you rampage throughout the Citadel to rescue the two Vances. It's always a pleasure to replay the game because of this weapon. The next one is from Mass Effect, where the weapons in general are a bit weird with the folding inside themselves, but generally are pretty cool. One of my favourites though, the M96 Matuk from 2, is a bit different. It's big and chonky, making it a pretty big departure from the standard sort of style of weapons largely inherited from the first game. That also carries over to how it plays, as it's a high-powered semi-auto rifle, filling the gap between sniper rifles and assault rifles. This is because it was added in a DLC pack along with the Phalanx and its laser sight, and the chargeable Geth plasma shotgun. So the devs were having a bit of fun with these weapons and had a bit more freedom with their design. And it shows in the Matuk, as it's an absolute beast of a weapon in the second game, rewarding good aim with very good damage, in a package more versatile than the snipers. And it sounds amazing too, really satisfying to use. In 8th place is the Lawgiver from Dread, the 2012 movie. The gun is just plain badass, with multiple types of rounds and fire modes, all voice controlled and with a neat little screen on the side to track all the ammo types. It's also got an integrated suppressor which somehow can be mechanically turned on and off, though really should probably just be on all the time because if it's there, why not? Another peculiarity is that it somehow fits 125 rounds in it, which is just nutty. But hey, it crossloads 4 types of ammo from multiple magazines, which is already mad, so why not? The DNA sensor it has also makes no sense because judges wear gloves, so how does it get their DNA? Despite these oddities, it's an amazing weapon from an amazing film. Next up is another Half-Life 2 weapon, the crossbow. This improvised weapon is a lot less versatile than the gravity gun, or really many of the other weapons, but I think it's the most satisfying weapon to use in the game. Everything about it just hits those spots, the thunk when you fire it, the massive impact that one-shots most enemies and can pin them to walls. Oh yeah, and the completely nonsensical choice to heat the rebar until it's glowing wouldn't do anything. It's completely mad and cool as hell, and the reload where you slap in new bars and they spark on contact. Brilliant. 6th place goes to an absolute classic, because who doesn't love the Pulsar Rifle? An iconic weapon from an iconic movie. I couldn't not include it on this list. And it's fantastic for many reasons, such as being a star in a scene, though as a way for two characters to develop their relationship a bit further. Still, doesn't stop it from being a breakdown of the gun. Other reasons it's cool, apart from the gorgeous sound of it, it's caseless, taking all the near-future stuff of the G11 and putting that to use, with an ammo counter and even a tiny bit of the styling of it, despite being built around 2 real guns. And that's another reason it's amazing, they're physical live firing props, with the Pulse Rifle itself being a Thompson for the big muzzle flash, and the underbarrel grenade launcher being a cut-down Remington 870. Not every prop had the functional parts, but it's still a neat detail, and both are fairly well concealed. Number 5 is the Chemrail, the first of 2 things from Elysium, which has many interesting weapons, from the surface-to-space missile launcher to the Kusar Crow assault rifle to the laser cutter that Cassian Andor uses. But the Chemrail. This thing is neat, a 2-stage weapon that fires 8.75 by 52mm thin-stabilized discarding rail accelerator saber rounds. The first stage uses chemical propellant to get the round moving before it hits the railgun's second stage, which pushes it up to its final velocity, where it has a muzzle energy of 18 kilojoules. This is comparable to the upper bounds of the 50 BMG round, so it's not completely insane for a man-portable firearm, though it would certainly have a hell of a kick if you're not wearing an exoskeleton. It's interesting because it's possibly one of, if not the only, hybrid chemical electromagnetic weapons in popular fiction, and it's mostly well thought out. It's got the magazine for the rounds, which are presumably caseless, and a removable power pack at the rear. Not sure if the muzzle flash will be like that, but it does look cool. Fourth place goes to the Arc Pistol, another Mass Effect weapon, though this time introduced in the third game. This high-tech Quarian sidearm has its roots in the arc projector from 2, but functions pretty differently as it's basically just a pistol. However, it has a party trick in that it can charge up to fire a high damage shot. It's not the best at spamming shots or high power shots, but being able to do both means you can take only this weapon for the fast ability charge times and still be able to deal with any kind of enemy. Also, it sounds amazing, looks fantastic with the animated charging bits, and the concept of it ionizing air with a laser for a bolt of electricity to follow sets it apart from the other standard pistols. In general, it's just another super satisfying weapon to use, especially in multiplayer where it can pair well with all sorts of skills. Third place goes to the FR-27 Sanction Shet Rifle from the more recent Deus Ex games. This thing is super cool, even with just its appearance. It hits all those slightly over-complex near-future rifle things, with inspiration from many other firearms. There's a bit of FAMAS in there, there's shades of P90, there's also some influence from the fictional Saburo weapons from Ghost in the Shell. This makes it a gorgeous weapon with some wild mechanics behind it. Firstly, the reload is just bonkers, opening up the whole top of the gun, including the sides, and slotting in this sort of cartridge thing that can't possibly hold that many rounds. Then the flechettes themselves, which, when upgraded, can become target-seeking, automatically arcing towards the target's head. Now, this does make up for constantly messing up the zeroing of the gun when reloading it, but they arc really hard. These things would be pulling ridiculous Gs to turn that fast. It's crazy tech, but fun to use on such an awesome-looking rifle. In second place is another Elysium weapon, the modified AKM, though the weapon itself is fairly bog standard. It's the attachment and ammo that really makes it special. The attachment is a sight and laser rangefinder kit for the rifle to greatly improve its lethality when combined with the air burst ammunition. The user sights the target, sets the range, and then fires. I think what happens is that the sight programs the round as it passes through the end of the barrel, though it's odd there isn't a specific barrel attachment for this purpose. The round then explodes in a cone shape at the programmed distance, apparently with a kill zone comparable to a 40mm grenade, so these little things are really potent, though apparently the peculiarly shaped rounds do make it jam up a fair bit. It's just such a wonderful mixture of the century-old AKM and the tech slapped onto it in a fairly plausible way. Why make a whole new gun when you can make ammo and an add-on kit for one that works already? Before we reach first place, we have a ton of honourable mentions, so I'm just going to zoom through them, starting with the Zorg ZF-1 because it's mad like the film is. Next is the SPB-90 from Timesplitter's Future Perfect because it's a cool future P90, as is the Recluse from Destiny 2, sort of. Next is Dead Space's Plasma Cutter because come on, who doesn't enjoy chopping necromorphs apart with that? Another satisfying video game tool that becomes a weapon is Wolfenstein's Laser Craftwork, and I enjoyed the AR Marksman from that game as well. Some more fun video game weapons are the Fatboy Overclock for the grenade launcher in Deep Rock Galactic because Half-Life 2's Overwatch rifle is also amazing, even if it makes no sense whatsoever. Switching to Mass Effect 3, we have the Harrier because it's a monster, and the Javelin because through walls. And Warframe has many fun weapons, including my favourite one, which you've likely never heard of. It's my Rattlegut kit gun. This is very specific because this is a modular weapon that can be set up in all sorts of ways, but mine is this. The parts are Rattlegut, Love Tap and Splat, and this is my build for it. In use, it's a full auto weapon with a sort of laser beam effect I love because you can see exactly where you're shooting, and it's super accurate and the magazine is enormous. I just love it. It hits the spot through pure usability and it's ridiculously reliable. Want to hit at range with it? Doable. Want to just spam it on hordes of enemies? Doable. Want to hit those big headshots? Doable. And when you do that, it triggers the Pax Seeker Arcane that sends out more bolts to hit other enemies. The only downside to it is that it's not amazing at the super high-end stuff, but I barely play that anyway. So yeah, my favourite weapon is fairly obscure, but it's one I made and use all the time in one of my favourite games. What about you? What's your favourite? Did I mention it? Let me know in the comments below. You can support Spacedock by joining our Patreon, where you can get our Space Fighter design reference book. Alternatively, you can support us directly through YouTube by giving us super thanks or by becoming a channel member. Thanks to our supporters, and thank you for watching.